that time of the month again. Not that time of the month. October was a pretty good month reading-wise, and also literature-wise in general. There was an arts festival on in the town where I live, which is super exciting, especially as we don't have that many literary events here. Especially not big authors like Eleanor Catton. Yes, Eleanor Catton came to my town. It's actually the 4th time that I've heard her speak, but every time has been so incredible. She's just the best speaker, and it was really interesting to hear her talk about different things this time as well. For me, Eleanor Catton is up there with Donna Tartt and Margaret Atwood, so I was very, very excited about this event. The first few things that I read this month were for the catalogue. I work at a bookshop and the Christmas catalogue was being compiled, so we were given a list of books that were going to be in the catalogue, and we chose the books that we thought were interesting to read and then write short reviews for. For that reason, I read a few things that I wouldn't necessarily have read otherwise. The first was called Mr. Mac and Me, and this was by Esther Freud. This is set during the First World War in the southeast of England. It's about this boy, and this strange man comes to town, and he turns out to be the artist and architect Charles Rennie Mackintosh. It's really about relationships and has this backdrop of the World War, and also the fact that they're living on the coast, and so there's this constant fear of invasion. I wasn't a huge fan of this novel. It's not something I probably would have picked up otherwise. The reason I did pick this one up was because it had Charles Rennie Mackintosh in it, and he is an interesting artist whose work I admire. If you're interested in the way that the war affected those who stayed behind, then this might be an interesting novel for you. Also, if you like family dramas, there are definitely people out there who would enjoy this. I'll link my Goodreads review for this down below when I write it. The next book was also for the catalogue, but I listened to this as an audiobook. It was Elizabeth is Missing by Emma Healy. This book was really different. It's from the point of view of a woman who has a terrible memory. She can remember things in her distant past, but she can't remember what she did 5 seconds ago. The only thing that I can think of to compare this to is Room by Emma Donoghue, not because of the subject matter, but because of the narrative point of view. This is definitely one that I would recommend to people, especially if you're interested in alternative narrative viewpoints. Then I listened to another audiobook, Not That Kind of Girl by Lena Dunham. The audiobook is read by Lena Dunham, which really added to my experience of it. It's a set of autobiographical essays rather than a memoir, so that was a point of difference from some other memoirs that I've read. I talked about this in my feminist non-fiction video, so I will link that in the description. Next up, I read Ali Smith's How to Be Both. I absolutely loved this book. I've done a full video review of it, and I will link that also in the description. At the same time as reading the Ali Smith book, I was also reading David Mitchell's new book, The Bone Clocks, and I was reading this for review for the catalogue. This is an epic book if ever I did see one. I have filmed a full review of this, so hopefully that will go up soon. Then I finished up 33 Artists in 3 Acts. I've also filmed a review of this one, which will hopefully be going up soon. This would be a great introduction to the world of modern art. It's non-fiction, it's a set of conversations, so it's very accessible. This next section is a bit more diverse than the first section because I wasn't choosing off of a list. We have another audiobook. This was The Interpreter of Maladies by Jhumpa Lahiri. It is a collection of short stories. They are set in India and also in America, and have a lot to do with immigration and emigration. As always with short stories, I didn't love every single one, but for the most part and as a collection I thought it was a very successful piece of literature. So after reading those larger books I wanted something that wasn't going to take me too long, so I turned to How to Get Filthy Rich in Rising Asia. Rinsey said that she read this in an evening, so I thought this wouldn't take me too long, and she was right. It's fairly large print. Another interesting narrative viewpoint. This is written in second person and in present tense, so it's you do this and you do that. And it's also kind of a parody of the self-help book. I enjoyed this. I didn't love it. I will link my Goodreads review below. Then I went for another short book, Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin. From the larger print of How to Get Filthy Rich in Rising Asia, I went to this. I'll just give you a comparison. This is How to Get Filthy Rich in Rising Asia, and this is Giovanni's room. So while it's a teeny tiny book, it took me slightly longer than expected, but it still didn't really take me long at all. The shortness of this novel, however, did not detract from its impact. This is a book that gets you right in the guts. I actually felt a little bit sick and incredibly heartbroken when I got to the end of this. James Baldwin, you have taken my heart and done this. It's an incredible little novel. So after that, I thought I'd go for something a bit lighter, so I chose The Colour Purple by Alice Walker. Oh my goodness, this is another one that broke my heart. I do plan to talk a little bit more about this in a video that I'm going to do on feminist fiction. I've got 1 or 2 more books to read before I do that video. Needless to say, if you want a book with lots of complex, fleshed out female characters, then look no further. The next book that I read on my phone, so I can't show it to you because I'm actually filming on my phone, so I can't hold it up. That's slightly annoying. But it is Whale Rider by Witi Ihimaera. I really felt like I needed to make more of an effort to read New Zealand authors, and in particular Māori authors. The narrator of this novel is a man, but the protagonist really is this young girl, and she is just the pluckiest little young girl. It's a story of how she tries to gain her grandfather's love, who rejects her because she is a girl. I will surely be talking about this more in another video. I may even make a full review. And then at the end of this month, I finally finished Nocturnes by Kazuo Ishiguro. Now, I've had this on the go for months and months now. Yeah, this didn't really grip me as much as I had hoped. I think part of the reason that I set this down is that it's a set of short stories, and I had read 3 or 4 of them and then put it down, and finally yesterday I read the final 2. All of these stories are kind of strung together with the themes of music and the end of love. For that reason, it's very poignant. Finally, I read a book that came into the shop 2 days ago. I bought it yesterday and read it in an afternoon. This is The Age of Magic by Ben Okri. I had never heard of him until 2 days ago, but when I saw this, I thought, okay, well, obviously I thought this is a really pretty book. I also noticed a couple of other things, that the plot sounded vague but intriguing, the Booker Prize mention, and also that he is an author of colour, and I have been trying to read more books by authors of colour. So I told myself, you have no excuse not to buy this, Holly. And I am so glad that I did, because this is a crazy book. I wrote on Goodreads when I finished it that I just feel like I've finished something really profound, but I'm not sure what. Those are still my feelings on this. This is very philosophical, very ambiguous, not big on plot. If you like those kinds of books, then this is definitely one to check out. Parts of it really reminded me of those strange dreamlike sequences that you get in Murakami. It's beautiful writing and it's strange magical realism. It's also a fairly short read. Like I said, I read this in a part of an afternoon. It is 286 pages, but the way that it's typeset makes it very easy to read quickly, especially as it's got short, sharp chapters that make you want to keep reading. I've moved, but that's because I nearly forgot to tell you that I read, or at least tried to read, J by Howard Jacobson. I couldn't do it. I tried. I really tried. I went past my 50-page mark, because usually I will only read 50 pages of a novel, and if I'm not enjoying it, then I will stop. That's generally my rule. I don't often have to use that, but in this case I went to 70 pages and stopped. The reason that I stopped was this was a book that I was supposed to be reading for the catalogue, for review. The idea of the catalogue is to give a short burst of enthusiasm about a book to hopefully sell it. So I didn't feel like there was anything that I could genuinely say that I liked about this novel. The writing was pretentious and annoying. The plot seemed to be practically non-existent, even though I was 70 pages in. I mean, I don't mind if a novel doesn't have a plot, but it has to be written well. And this writing was not engaging to me in the least. Now, I will usually say that this book was not for me, but it might be good for this person or that person. But in this case, I'm really not sure what sort of person would actually enjoy this. So please, if you have read J, please let me know what you liked about it. When a book is shortlisted for the Man Booker Prize, I kind of think I will probably enjoy it, or at least be able to appreciate it. I would like to know the kind of person who would enjoy this book. I'm curious as a reader and as somebody who works as a bookseller. Anyway, I will now probably shift back again to where I was before. I am currently listening to the audiobook of The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle by Haruki Murakami, and absolutely loving it so far. It's weird and wonderful, not quite sure what's real and what isn't, and a bit more down to earth. I'm reading Moran's How to Build a Girl. So far it's okay. It's not brilliant. It's certainly not as good as some of the other books that I've been reading recently, but I'm a big fan of Moran, so I will definitely keep going with this one. So that's what I read this month and what I'm currently reading. If you would like to interact, then please let me know what you're currently reading, or let me know if you have read any of the books that I've just talked about. I'm really interested to talk to other people who have thoughts on these things. Also, hello and thank you to all of the new people who have subscribed. I'm incredibly humbled by the response that I've had thus far. I haven't been doing this long at all, but it's really lovely to be able to talk to other people whose videos I watch and also get comments from all of you. So thank you very much, and thank you very much for watching. I'm very grateful if you stayed until the end, and yeah, I will hopefully see you next time. Bye!